Hi, Michael. Thank you so much for joining me in this podcast episode. I really appreciate it. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Rosal. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. Look forward to chatting with you.
Yeah, definitely. So we have an interesting topic to discuss today. None of our guests haven't spoke about it, and not many people are familiar to Stoicism. So we're going to talk about Stoicism, what that is, what does it mean, and how we can implement it in our life and can achieve our goals and purpose with your life. And I have been following last couple of years Stoicism, followed few things on the YouTube videos, and the Marcus Aurelius is in the Greek just philosopher. He's been more into this, so I've been studying the last 2 years into it and following few steps, and I like the way is talk about a few things, the living a life. So for our listeners, we're gonna learn from you as well. Like if obviously you've been practicing for so many years and you believe in it, so it'll be so much better if you can explain it to our audiences and we can have like a discussion onto it. So before I get into like, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you've been doing, who you've been helping, and in terms of your life and career.
Yeah, Rosal. Really look forward to talking about Stoicism. It's just been a huge help for me in my lifetime. But as kind of a general introduction, I'm Mike McGill. By day, I've been in tech for 20 plus years. I'm currently in a position of CIO in a healthcare organization. So I love tech, love helping people get ahead in tech. And, that's kind of by vocation and by avocation, amongst other things.
Yeah.
I'm a practicing Stoic. Was introduced to Stoicism about 8 years ago. And as I said earlier, just been a huge help for me in my professional career and in my personal life. I've always been somebody who always, I've read a lot, and I've always been kind of an experimenter of kind of learning of new things and trying new things. And, there's a couple things along the way that just really stuck and were really helpful for me. And Stoicism was one of them. So look forward to talking about it with you, Razel.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, so let's talk about at the beginning. So what does it actually mean by stoicism? Why is it actually? So for listeners, those doesn't
Right.
know and don't understand it. So just give some explanation on that and just brief introduction of it.
Yeah, so Stoicism is a school of philosophy. So it is a philosophy that was, to get a little Wikipedia-ish, it was founded by a Greek philosopher called Zeno.
Okay.
Founded in Greece around 300 BC or so. So again, it's a school of philosophy, and there were a lot of school philosophies at the time. This particular one kind of survived through the Roman kind of conquest of the Mediterranean and whatnot, and Stoicism finds its way into Rome, and it was just a very popular school of philosophy. I think these different schools of philosophy in Roman civilization were somewhat like religions to us now. You had people who were in the Stoic school of philosophy. You had Epicureanism, you had skepticism and cynicism, and you had all these different schools of philosophy that were prevalent back in Rome. In early AD years and through Roman civilization. And Stoicism kind of thrived. You don't run into people these days who like say, oh, I practice Epicureanism or I practice cynicism. May have people who are cynical, but, as a school of philosophy and as kind of a mindset. And, I kind of look at Stoicism really as kind of an operating system for life, but it kind of has survived over the millennia because it's just a very practical school of philosophy. I mean, Stoicism, they're not, the Stoics weren't asking questions, esoteric navel gazing questions about, if trees fall in the wood and nobody's there to hear a sound, do they really make a noise, or any of these kind of pointless questions. The Stoics were very interested in living good, virtuous lives. And, the things that the Stoics taught about way back 2000 years ago are still extremely practical for us in this day and age where we live stressful lives, where there's a lot of outside influences that are kind of trying to grab space in our mind and lead us in unhealthy directions. We still suffer from we all just kind of the same things that human beings suffered through 2000 years ago. We suffer today, anxiety, stress, outside influences and whatnot. So Stoicism kind of fortunately lived on, and I think still lives today because of its practicality and its simplicity, really.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for explaining those. So yeah, a lot of people doesn't know actually what does it actually mean, and probably they heard from someone or something they saw, but probably never thought about like how can affect on
Right.
their life in a good way. So tell us a little bit about like how do they actually affect it on your life in a good way, and like you get help from the following the stoicism, follow philosophy.
Right. So, I kind of, previously explained the kind of the what of,
Yeah,
what is Stoicism, but kind of the why, why would
yeah,
anybody want to bother with Stoicism, this dusty 2000-year-old philosophy, written by these people with hard to pronounce names
yeah.
thousands of years ago. But again, it's really practical, and kind of, again, the whys. So there's a lot of things you can benefit from
Mhm.
Stoicism, but just some really practical mindsets of Stoicism that benefit me today. So the Stoics were very much about kind of building emotional strength and being objective about the things that happen to us, kind of, teaching things to help us be more objective, more accepting, and more unselfish as kind of life's events happen to us. So, one of the kind of primary teaching of Stoicism is really through the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, kind of
Yeah.
taught us to kind of learn to understand what we can and what we cannot control, and accept the things that we can't control and act on the things that we can control. And it's funny, a lot of times when I talk about it, it sounds very kind of simplistic. But I
Yeah.
think if we look back on our lives, we can probably identify a lot of times where we got really stressed out and got really upset about something that in the end we had no control over. So again, that's one way Stoicism has benefited me. And again, it sounds simple, but it's a filter that I process my life's events through.
Mhm.
Is can I control this or not? And if I can't control it, I have to accept it. Now, that doesn't mean I don't take some form of action on it, or maybe in my circle of control,
Yeah.
I kind of focus on the area of it that I can. But acceptance is just a beautiful way to kind of lessen the stress of your life by accepting. And then, Stoics, again, were people of action. And then, so the things that I can control, making sure that I take action and I, take positive, productive action in those areas. So identifying what I can and can't control. And
Mhm.
then the Stoics also had a mindset of looking at your obstacles as opportunities.
Right.
Uh, Marcus Aurelius talked a lot about this. The Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius talked a lot about this mindset of seeing your obstacles as opportunities. And, again, another thing that's benefited me, because I think we all have a tendency to maybe dance around our challenges a little bit to try and avoid these tough situations. I think it's human nature.
Yeah.
But Stoicism kind of gives us that mindset and helps us realize that is the way, like that's the path. When you have an obstacle or a challenge in your life, like the only way past it is to go through it. So yeah, those are just a couple simple ones. I could probably go on about a number of different ones, but again, just these very practical, almost kind of like mindset exercises. I say a
Yeah.
lot that Stoicism is really just a bunch of beautiful mind games that we play with ourselves. It is just kind of, not letting your thinking dictate how you're going to feel.
Yeah.
Our thinking is very unreliable. I mean,
True.
we can't just take the thoughts that drip through our head at face value. Stoicism will kind of help kind of drop the gate a little bit
Mhm.
and help kind of analyze what your thinking is. And sometimes, all right, I'm going to go down that path. I think that's good. Or to say, hey, does this really benefit me to think this way or to emotionally respond in this way? And then to kind of course correct in a direction that's going to be a little bit healthier for you.
Yeah, definitely. Like right now with the chaotic moment of this world is just 99% of the time we're dealing with our own mental battle, right? Like
Right.
we're going back and forth, so many things happen in the past, so many things about the future, so many things going on present moment, and we don't know how to react to them kind of situation. So stoicism actually helps identifying them problems and take them action according to your control. Like oftentimes we are let's think about like during the pandemic, so many people lost their jobs, the out of control, lot of people got COVID, and a lot of people lost their loved ones as well. Out of control, no one can control nothing, because that time the medication wasn't there, the vaccination, nothing like that. No one knew what's going on to the world. A lot of people lost their businesses, now out of control as well. Like he probably had like a big goal for 2020, and out of nowhere in a Q1, end of Q1, everyone locked down, like in different parts of the world, UK, US, wherever they are. And so, yeah, it just like I've been following like a few stuff on the YouTube and the last few years, and been following like things you can't control and things you can control, and you need to focus on that and take action to it. So tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about like how stoicism can help like setting up our goals with our life. Could be someone has like relationship goals, someone has like business goals, or someone has like health goals. How using stoicism philosophy and we can set our goals and achieve them.
Yeah. So, what stoicism helps with is really your goal again. And it's subtle because I mean, we set goals to achieve an outcome.
Yeah.
And obviously we want to advance, we want to reach an outcome. But, a lot of times we focus more on the outcome than the journey. And true. A lot of times the benefit of the goal is maybe how it holds our feet to the fire to go on that journey we may not have otherwise gone on.
Yeah.
And we may consider it to be a failure if we don't reach the desired outcome.
Yeah.
Which is unhealthy thinking. So again, stoicism kind of teaches us again, kind of through the what we can and can't control. Like I can't control the outcome. There's a lot of variables. I mean, let's say I have a goal to, give a speech in front of a bunch of people. I'm nervous about speaking, and I have a goal for myself to learn how to become a public speaker. Yeah. If I focus on the outcome, how will people receive what I'm speaking about? I can't control that. There's so many variables at play. Did they just eat lunch? Are they not interested in the topic? Are they in a bad mood? There's a lot I can't control about the outcome. What I can together good materials. I kind of trying to learn a little bit about the audience I'm speaking to. So again, that's one example. I can't control the outcome. There's a lot of variables in the outcome, but I can control my preparation. So our goal should be focused more on what are the actions that I can take that influence me hitting that outcome. I mean, obviously, I'm going to have a much better chance of giving a good speech or giving a speech that's well received if I prepare and if I do my homework and if I practice and all that. So again, Stoicism teaches a lot about how, again, we can't control the externals. All we can do is control the internals. And so if we focus our goals and kind of making sure that our actions are based on things that we can't control, and then influence and hope for the best, that the outcome is going to be what we want. So again, I think kind of in a nutshell, and again, there's nuance. You want to achieve something, but again, you can't necessarily control everything that might be part of that outcome. All you can do is control what you can do to try and influence that outcome to come out in your favor.
So yeah, it's basically better like focusing on the process rather than outcome. So outcome anxiety makes you restless, right? Instead of like you focusing on the process, improving yourself on doing something, could be you want to go for a date, like you rather focusing on the girl or guy, whoever you're dating, and they probably say no, or how they're going to react. Rather than focusing on that, you can look better yourself, how you dress, how you talk, how you present yourself, rather than focus on that, rather than like what's going to happen because it's out of your control. Same with the business as well. Like you can make your product better, your services better, but you don't know like how your customer is going to be, like how many sales you're going to get on the day or the year. That's totally out of control. So many things involved in terms of like getting the outcome. So
right, and I think, real quick, but just it's kind of Stoicism helps with the iteration as well too, to kind of take whatever you planned, you prepared, you attempted. It's not a failure. It's feedback. If you don't reach your goal, it's not failure. It's feedback. And Stoicism again can help us sift through the emotional turmoil of getting upset that my goal didn't turn out the way it was. Instead, to be kind of more objective and look at it as feedback and say, okay, how do I need to course correct? What do I need to tweak? What do I need to change? And then try again. And again, try again by focusing on changing what I can control and see how I can influence maybe to have a better outcome the next time around.
Yeah, we get caught up with that thing, outcome. So outcome always there. Every people you talk to, like a coaches, consultant, motivational speaker, you have to have a big goal. The focusing on the goal, the law of attraction, and sometimes you don't hit that goal. Let's say someone had the revenue goal for the business for $250,000, and they achieved like a 190. Just because of they haven't received that 250, they feel like a failure, even though they made 190 prior to last year. Last year they probably made a six figure, like $100,000. Now they doubled their income, but they didn't hit the 250, 50,000 less. They're feeling like they're a failure. And I had the thought myself, like when I started my career, my business, every time I was setting a goal, probably 100,000, I probably made 50, and I'm just always the short. I feel like a failure. Rather than I'm thinking, oh, this is my startup business. While I made the goal, I should have made 100,000, but I made 50. Is better than where I came from, right? I made 20,000 prior to that.
Right, exactly. And that's another thing that Stoicism kind of helps us with, is appreciating what we have instead of desiring more. And I tell you, Raz, I'm just kind of convinced that really the key to happiness in life is just being grateful for what you already have. Because look, again, it's subtle. We don't want to just sit back. We're not looking to be hermits, out on the mountaintop. I mean, look, it'd be a beautiful way to live if you're gonna be happy kind of living that way. I mean, we want, it's, again, I keep saying it's subtle, but you can be happy with what you have by still try to get more if it aligns with kind of your values and what's important to you in life.
Yeah.
But again, not being a victim to that desire. Making sure that your pursuit of getting better is coming from a healthy place and not just this mindless, I got to get more, I get it, and then I just get unhappy with that, and then I got to get more. That's where the danger is, where you let your desire you're always in a state of desire and wanting the next, and you do that for years, and there, boom, you had years that you were never truly happy or appreciative of what you already have. So in your example of I shot for 100,000 in revenue, I made 75. Sure, you can choose to be upset about the 25, or you can choose to be upset about the 7, or be happy about the 75 that you got that you didn't have previous to that. So again, we don't want to just totally, squash out this innate thing we have into us to want to improve, but we don't want to just be like, pulled on a leash of always chasing more and more and more.
Yeah, definitely. And that cycle never ends, right? So when you hit 250, even though you hit 250, in the next year, you'll be like $1 million, right? And the cycle never ends, even though you become a billionaire, the next year, like $1 trillion. And eventually you'll be like 70, 80 years old and realize I've been chasing so many things. And right now I'm just on my deathbed. And I didn't enjoy all of the success I had. I didn't enjoy all of the money I had. I just keep on chasing the next thing. And I was restless for that. So when do you think someone like focus on when is enough with Stoicism philosophy? Does it actually teaches something like that? Like when someone can need to be appreciated and this is enough for you in order to live a life? Because we don't know when to stop. We know how to keep going, but don't know how to stop.
Right. And it's funny, you kind of will see this not just in Stoicism, but I've also read the Bhagavad Gita, and there's kind of this same kind of concept in this kind of the Hindu script, spirituals, kind of writings in the Bhagavad Gita about kind of the concept of internals versus externals. So in Stoicism, it's like internals and externals are called indifference. Meaning that all we really should care about is kind of the internals. So what is enough? I mean, if you can look out the window and see a beautiful tree and a beautiful blue sky and be happy, you really, I mean, you have enough. Now, again, you may still want to, for reasons, of your own, to kind of continue to develop, continue to kind of build upon what you already have. But back, to that concept of indifference, in Stoicism, we should be indifferent to the things that we can't control. We should be indifferent. And there's preferred indifference and dispreferred indifference. So in Stoicism, it's a preferred indifference to have money. I should not let myself be impacted emotionally one way or the other by the amount of money that I have. But I would prefer to have more money than to be poor. I would prefer to be healthy than to be sick. So again, whatever's external of us in Stoicism, we should be indifferent to, but there's preferred and dispreferred indifference. So again, and yeah, what does this mean in terms of when do we have enough? Back to your example of at 250,000, I'm going to chase after 1 million. If you're happy with where you're at and with your life and you're feeling fulfilled, 250 is enough.
Yeah.
I would say in the extreme sense, you probably already have enough. Again, you probably already have enough to be happy if you learn to appreciate what you already have. So again, in Stoicism, we really should always have enough as long as we have an internal sense of wellness, of happiness, of contentment. And again, that's just that it kind of reverses back to learning to just be content and happy and appreciative and grateful for what you already have.
Yeah, you well said. This thing is just like a mindset, right? You have to have that thinking of it, like when is enough. You need to sit down and ask whatever you are grateful for, make a list out of it, and you're gonna find it like what is enough. Things we chase is not our needs, it's just we want things, right? The car you have is already perfectly fine, but it's not newer model. That's why you're being unhappy because of it's not 22 plate. You already got 20 plate, right? But you want a new latest iPhone, latest Samsung phone, or latest laptops, latest bags, latest designer clothes. So it's on your mindset, like how you define your enough or your success is everyone thinks is different.
Right. We've all heard that. We all heard the stories of the people who become millionaires and they're still unhappy and they're not any happier than they were. They look back on the easier, simpler times earlier in their lives and learn too late that they should have just appreciated it back then. And I think another way to look at it is really want versus need. I think it's okay to want something. Again, if it aligns, like for me, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to make more money. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I have a family. I want to care for them. I want to provide for them. I want to be able to, provide for them in the way I see fit. It's okay to want to get ahead in my career and increase my earning potential. It's dangerous when it gets to be a need. And it's just, you're mindlessly just chasing after that. I need to have this. I need to have, you're caught on that hamster wheel of desire and dissatisfaction with what you're already having. So needing is when things can get dangerous for us. Wanting, again, you're back in the world of stoicism and indifference and preferred indifference. It's a preferred indifferent for me to have a Tesla. Because I think they're cool. I'd like to have an electric car. That'd be pretty cool. I can help kind of reduce carbon emissions and I can kind of do all this cool stuff. I don't need it. I'm not going to be unhappy if I don't get it, but I think it would be cool to have one and I want it. So again, I think a little bit of that kind of want versus need kind of way of looking at things. If you're finding yourself just chasing after something and it doesn't align again with a virtue or something that is a goal of yours, you might be just chasing after something because you feel a need or you're just trying to kind of fill some societal role or kind of listening to all the outside voices telling you should have this. And it maybe doesn't really align with what you want to be or what you really want.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. Right now, because of the social media and everything, like your friends, your family, someone like posting things on Instagram, nice car, nice bag, and you realize this is something I want, but it doesn't really actually align with your goal and your vision. Probably you enjoy laying down, sleeping for 12 hours and this is why you do enjoy, right? And you're trying to be 3 hours you're gonna sleep and try to do workout and everything. Your body probably not made for these things, and you have to find out what is working for you and what works for others, and you need to ask them question in yourself to finding the happiness. Otherwise keep on chasing the next thing. When I will have this car, when I'll have a next house, this career, this spouse, then I'll be happy. When you actually get there, then you realize it's everything same. Probably first few days in a new house, probably you're gonna enjoy. Then after that, it just become a norm to you and chasing for the next thing. So with the stoicism, a lot of our listeners into it, and they actually know right now what stoicism is and how it can help our life. So what's the best place to start, following stoicism? Do you think is it YouTube videos, books, or what would you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the end, it's whatever, however you learn best, whether it's video, whether it's books. I'm a reader. I've always been a reader since I was a kid. I've just always loved reading.
Mhm.
The advice I always give with Stoicism is first, I recommend learning about Stoicism before you start reading the works of the Stoics.
Right.
I know, speaking for me personally, I don't know if I would have just picked up Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, read it, and been like, oh, like, wow, Stoicism is really awesome. Instead, I read the book "The Obstacle Is the Way" by Ryan Holiday. Then I read the book "A Guide to the Good Life" by William Irvine, and then I started reading the Stoics.
Okay.
I think it just helps to have somebody who's an expert kind of frame it out for you. So when you dive in and you start reading Marcus Aurelius or Seneca or Epictetus, again, you have the right glasses on as you're going in. And you're kind of like, aha, oh yeah, I get it. This is where they're telling me that I shouldn't worry about things that I can't control. So kind of what I always recommend is the book "A Guide to the Good Life" by William Irvine. It's a wonderful kind of Stoicism 101 book. It'll tell you what is Stoicism, who are the Stoics, kind of all these different kind of mindsets and teachings of Stoicism, right, and how to apply them in your life. It's a great start. So, I always recommend that being a book. But look, you have all kinds of resources on YouTube. You have the Daily Stoic. Ryan Holiday has a newsletter and a website that he runs called the Daily Stoic, with a lot of good intro to Stoicism content. So, like, if you're someone who's like, look, yeah, I'm not a reader, I don't necessarily want to pick up a book, go to YouTube and just type in Stoicism, and you'll find all kinds of good videos with like millions of views of kind of introduction to Stoicism. And that's good content to consume too. I do believe that in the end, Stoicism, like any philosophy, it's not, if again, you could probably get some intro to Stoicism, get some good ideas, and like maybe get a little bit of benefit out of it. But if you want to go with any type of philosophy, you kind of have to build a relationship with it.
Yeah.
So I really do feel like having a book and your highlighter and your pen next to you, and not, we all have that tendency. We read a book and 10 pages into it, we're already flipping to the end and say, how many pages do I got left until I'm done with this book? With philosophy, it's like a good relationship. You want to take your time. You want to just absorb. I mean, you really don't need to read more than a couple pages. It's dense. It's like very nutrient rich food. You don't need to sit there and pig out on nutrient rich food. You just can eat just a little bit of it and you'll get what you need. And it's the same with philosophy. You can just read a few pages, and it's almost, you're better reading it that way than like picking up Meditations and going, oh, it's 200 pages long, I'm going to read 20 pages a day and be done with it in 10 days. You want to kind of take your time with it. But I'm giving you a long answer to a short question. But yeah, a guide to the Good Life by William Irvine, I think, is an excellent way to learn more about Stoicism and see if it's a rabbit hole you want to go down.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Mike. So yeah, we're coming to the end of this podcast. So those who's listening to this episode, if anyone wants to reach out to you and learn more about you, Mike, what's the best place to find you?
Yeah, I'm kind of all over the place online, but I always kind of give my Twitter. I'm at McGill MD 921. It's kind of the hub of all the spokes of all the different things. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Medium, I'm on TikTok doing Stoicism videos. But I think kind of that my Twitter profile is kind of the place to, if you want to hear more about what I have to say about Stoicism or see what I'm up to, Twitter's a good place to start.
That's great. Yeah. So thank you so much, Mike, for coming to this show, and telling more about Stoicism and how we can help our life and getting it better. So I really appreciate it. I wish you good luck with your future and your career and your life.
Yeah, same to you, Rasul. Thanks again for having me on.
Yeah, you're most welcome. The pleasure was mine. So that's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode. I hope you enjoyed it and learned more about Stoicism, and you can implement it on your life as well. So if you want to reach out to Mike and learn more about his work, go follow him on the Twitter and find him on other social media platforms. And till then, stay safe, stay healthy. I'll talk to you next episode. Thank you.